Good evening, everyone. You are in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this In the Spotlight 4-on-1 show coming at you on this Thursday, November the 12th, 2015. Hope you all had a great day. Hope you all enjoyed your Veterans Day and paid tribute to our veterans, both living and deceased. Also, for those of you that checked us out, watched us live this afternoon, when we did our impromptu In the Spotlight Football Blitz show, which I apologize to those that do not know. I apologize for the lack of notice and how last minute that decision was. Look, it was a last minute thing. As the day went on, it became apparent that we couldn't do the show tomorrow. We had to do the show today. So that is why it was done today. I apologize. I usually try to give a little bit more notice when something like that happens. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. More of you actually watched this live this afternoon than I would have anticipated. But I know there was a bunch of you that usually like to listen, check us out live that weren't able to, so I do apologize for that. The episode is up on YouTube and Google Hangouts, so feel free to check it out when you're interested. It is not labeled other than In the Spotlight Football Blitz. I did not put a date on it or an episode. I probably should put at least an episode number on it. Although once this episode is posted, after it's done live streaming, it'll be pretty obvious where it falls. But I should have put an episode number. I didn't want to put a date on it because I was afraid people would get confused with this show tonight, and because we don't do 2 shows in a day that often, so I don't want people to get too confused. But yeah, once this episode's posted, I think it'll become apparent to people where it fits and everything. But so yeah. It's my second show today, and of course I have to do both shows by myself, which is gonna kill my voice. So this is not gonna be a long show tonight. It's not. It really can't be. I don't think my voice will hold out long enough to do that. So so for those that did not check out our afternoon show In the Spotlight Football Blitz for this week, it is posted on Google Hangouts and on YouTube, so make sure you check it out. So this becomes our third show of the week, which is during football season not usually the case, but it is here tonight. So tonight on tap for you, we have an all entertainment show tonight. We'll do our box office beat. We'll do some entertainment news discussion, some TV and film discussion. No film discussion, because that's going to come from the box office stuff and that. But we're going to do some TV discussion, if we always like to do, highlight some of the big moments in TV from the last week. And that's going to be our show tonight. As far as people looking for some sports content, I was going to do a little bit of sports tonight. Remember, I mentioned on Tuesday that it was going to be a sports entertainment combo tonight. Well, there isn't any other real big sports stuff to cover. We covered everything either on the football blitz, or we covered everything on Tuesday during our college basketball show. So there's really nothing to talk about. So I'm not going to force it. If there's nothing to talk about, nothing to talk about. And none of you really emailed me and said you wanted us to talk about anything. So, nah, there won't be any sports stuff on the show tonight. And as for wrestling, as I said on Tuesday, we're going to leave all the wrestling stuff till next week. We're going to do a wrestling preview show a week from tonight for WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view. We'll be previewing that. So I figure leave everything for that show, do it all in one night. That makes the most sense. So, and again, for those of you that want to participate in that wrestling preview show next Thursday night, you can email, Facebook, or tweet us your questions or comments either before the show or during the show next Thursday and participate. And again, we pick only so many. We can't possibly address all of them. But like I said, we always keep them. So if they're still relevant for the next wrestling show we do, we'll take a look at them and see if there's anything that still is relevant to the discussions at hand and use them. But we try to do the best we can because so many of the questions and stuff that we get are the same. Just different variations of the same topic. So we try to pick a question or a comment that kind of brings it all together. That way we don't have, it makes it, we try, it almost is all inclusive to, maybe like 5 or 6 other people's questions about that same topic, So yeah, that will be coming up next week. So we're not going to do any wrestling here tonight because I just want to table it all for next week. So tonight is strictly entertainment. So before we get going, As always, let me remind you all the ways which you can interact and contribute to our show. You can do so by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 or hashtag ITS5. That, of course, representing our 50-year anniversary on the air as a podcast. You can also find us on Facebook by searching for us under In the Spotlight 411. And make sure you like our Facebook page once you find it. All right, so I am all by myself today. Now, people are used to that for the football show, but they're not used to that for any of our Tuesday or Thursday shows. My co-host, Mike, has had to take the night off tonight. He is going on a trip this weekend. He has a lot of things to do, so he will not be with us tonight. So you get only me tonight. I was a little confused before the show, and that's kind of why I was late, because he had sent me a text maybe a half hour or so before the show, and he was telling me that he thought, he was confused about the fact I did the football show, and he thought maybe I wasn't going to do a show tonight, and which is bogus. You know, I do 3 shows a week unless there's a holiday reason or some other reason. So, so once she said that, I kind of got the idea maybe he would join us for a little bit, but that does not seem to be the case. So I've extended an invitation to him anyway. If he wants to join us, he can, but I do not expect that. It's always funny because he wants to get off the air. Like he hates to be on here longer than like an hour, which is ridiculous. You can never possibly get everything in an hour, but he hates to be on the air very long. And this is the one show in the last couple of weeks where we're probably going to have a very, very short show, and he's not doing the show tonight, which is ironic. But anyway, I digress. All right, so let's get right down to business here tonight. We will start off with our box office beat, and this is going to be a very short one. I kind of said as much last week because, look, most of what we're going to do in the box office beat this week is talk about what happened last week. You know, last week was the transit. It's you know, when you go from October to the holiday movie season, there's no like gradual thing. It's just like it's a sudden shift, just like it's a sudden shift from the last week of April to the summer movie season, the first week of May. Everything just instantly changes. You know, it's like, okay, movies are back. There's good movies coming out. Let's see what we're getting. And, last week, you get 2, with the summer movie season kicking off, you get only 1 big movie. With the holiday movie season lately, the last couple of years, you get 2 big movies right out of the gate. In the last 2 years, it's been an animated movie and some big budget blockbuster. Last year was Interstellar with Big Hero 6. And this year, it's Spectre with the Peanuts movie. And both last year and now this year, we can say have been tremendously successful starts to the holiday movie season. And look, we'll start off by talking about the surprises. And last week I sat here and I thought people were underestimating the Peanuts movie. All right, I thought it'd do better than it did. Look, it's a long-awaited movie, big fan base, old fans, new fans. It applies to all ages. It's one of those movies like a Pixar movie where you're going to have people of different ages showing up. It's not just for families. You're going to see people. You're going to see teenage stuff. Everybody knows the Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and everybody knows that. So I figured, underestimating, putting in the $40 to $50 million range was just, underestimating it, even with school still in session and all. But I was wrong. It only made $44.2 million, came in second. It's not really a surprise that it came in second. I thought it could get to 60 at least. Now it's only a $99 million budget, and it's going to be fine in the end. It's not like the film flopped. It met most people's expectations. I just thought it should be higher. I just thought people's expectations were too low. I was wrong. And look, the bottom line is it's going to hold very well this weekend, and it's going to do fine in the long run. So it was a good opening for it. Now, Spectre, on the other hand, which, again, no surprise, opening first, but $70.4 million. Now, even that for me was a little down because a lot of people, including myself, thought it hit at least $80 million. You look at what Skyfall did, and you thought I don't care what the critics said or the reviews said. Okay, to me that really didn't factor in here. It's a James Bond movie. It's Daniel Craig's last movie in the James Bond franchise. Like I personally didn't think that that any of that was gonna make a bit of difference. Maybe it did though. Or maybe it's just a case of, you know what, after Halloween and everything, people just didn't want to rush out to the movie. Maybe it'll make up what it didn't make this past weekend. And again, it's not like the movie flopped. It's just that not as many people came out in the first weekend as people thought. And there might be a reason for that. It might just be people wanting to wait till this weekend. It might just be weather related. I mean, it might be a million different reasons. But both were successful openings, and you went from a box office that was just in the complete doldrums to a $70 million movie and a $44 million movie overnight. So it's a good start to the holiday movie season. Two very successful launches. And you got The Martian, which held up very, very well, even better than expected. I think most people thought it would drop to like 5 or 6. Only dropped to 9 million, and then even Goosebumps, which after Halloween you thought would drop like a rock. No, it dropped to 6.8 million, held very well as well. So, and even Bridge of Spies held very well, 5.8 million in fifth. So a really good holdover for some of these October movies that have been out for a few weeks. A really good holdover, and so same with Hotel Transylvania, 3.6 million. I mean, that movie and Goosebumps, they're Halloween movies, and they still did well after the fact. So that's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. And look, the bottom going into this weekend, you know, the one thing you got to understand is this weekend, none of the new releases are going to debut in first or second. None of them are. This weekend is pure and simple about the holdovers. It's about Spectre. It's about the Peanuts movie. Those two movies are going to come in first. Those two move first and second, respectively, and then you'll have a couple of your new movies in play. And that's happened in the past couple of years. You see, usually the second weekends, some not necessarily lesser movies, but they're movies that are not expected to do huge business. So it leaves the second weekend for the blockbusters that came out the week before. And then, of course, the week after is usually a big movie. And, of course, the last couple of years has been Hunger Games. So, and then you get right back on track. So it's not going to be, for the new releases, it's not going to be a big weekend. But for the returning blockbusters from last weekend, it's going to be a big weekend. You're probably looking at 30 to 35 for for Spectre. Maybe more because, again, it didn't make as much last weekend as expected. The Peanuts movie, you're probably looking at anywhere from 25 to 30. Again, maybe more because it didn't make as much as I would have thought last weekend. And you got two new movies, one called The 33 and another called Love the Coopers. Just to give you all a little bit of background on both. There's two major releases and then one's kind of semi-limited release. The 33 is one of the big releases, opening in 2,452 theaters. It's a drama from Warner Brothers. Already made 12.6 million overseas. Antonio Banderas stars in this film. Don't expect much from it. Again, maybe 8 million, maybe even less than that. And then you got Love the Coopers, a comedy from CBS Films, opening in 2,603 theaters. That is the biggest release of the weekend as far as new releases go. PG-13, Alan Arkin, John Goodman, Ed Helms, Diane Keaton, Anthony Mackie, Amanda Seyfried, Marissa Tomei, Olivia Wilde. It's classified as an independent release, even though I don't really feel like it is. But great cast. You might be wondering why people don't think it'll make more than maybe like 5-6 million. Well, it's going more for older audiences, and with everything else that's out with the Peanuts movie, Spectre, I just don't see. I don't think anybody sees it making very much. Although I would say this, I almost think it should make probably more than the 33 because of the cast alone. But and that could very well happen. But we'll see. And the real smaller budget movie, My All-American, a drama from Queers Entertainment, opening in 1,565 theaters. Stars Aaron Eckhart in the title role, along with Finn Wittrock. PG, again, an independent film, a football sports movie. That shouldn't see a lot of traction. It might, maybe like 2 million, if that. So like I said, outside of Spectre and the Peanuts movie, not a whole lot going on. The way everything held up last week, you probably expect Goosebumps and Bridge of Spies to be around 5 million, Martian maybe around 6, 7. The 33 and Love the Coopers between 5 and 8 million. I could see Love the Coopers beating the 33, despite what most people think. A couple little things to keep an eye on this week. A movie called By the Sea, which we talked about last week in our holiday movie preview. It's one of the bigger releases of the holiday season. It's opening in limited release. It's a Universal film. It's a drama opening in 10 theaters this week in limited release. It's a drama. It's R-rated. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt are starring in it, so it's a reunion for them on the screen. Keep an eye on that one's getting a lot of buzz, and it's going to be a big movie this holiday season, so you might want to check that one out. And then there's a movie Heist, an R-rated movie, smaller budget kind of movie, starring Dave Bautista, Kate Bosworth, Gina Carano, Robert De Niro, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Very good cast. That one opening in limited release as well. So check your local theater listings for both of those films, which I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot about, both for awards reasons and for interest reasons over the course of the next few weeks. So this weekend, look, what can I say? It's all about the Spectre and Peanuts movie again. And next weekend, the transition happens again, where you get back on track. You have 3 big movies: Hunger Games, which is the biggest, The Night Before, and then The Secret in Their Eyes. So it's this is kind of like the burn off for the big movies that came out the first week of November, and then you get nonstop for the next couple weeks right through Thanksgiving, some big movies. Then you get the first week of December, which kind of gives you a burn off of all those Thanksgiving movies, and then you get back into some big ones in the Heart of the Sea, and Alvin and Chipmunks and Sisters and the biggest one of them all, Star Wars. So it's going to pick up, but again, it's the way the holiday movie season works. You get some big movies the first week of November, then you get kind of like a little break with a couple smaller movies, then you get the big movies again, and the big movies again, then another small week, and then big movie, big movies, and that's it. So it's a quick 2-month period. It's not all like summer where it's one after the other, and so many. It's not a whole lot, but the ones that do come out are pretty big, and and they're broken up a little differently. So it should be it's not going to be a very interesting. Now next weekend's going to be interesting to talk about, because you're going to have the question of how much does Hunger Games make, because it's the last one, and you're also going to have the question of what happens to The Night Before. So we talked about this last week, that the decision to have this movie be released along with Hunger Games, instead of maybe even waiting to Thanksgiving. Because, I mean, look, you saw Horrible Bosses last year come out around Thanksgiving. I mean, you could do that. Or have it even come out closer to Christmas, like the first week of December or something, when it'll be on its own. I mean, I don't know about this release date, and that's going to be something we're going to talk about. We already talked a little bit about it last week. Next week, when we're previewing the weekend, and talking about Hunger Games and everything, we're going to talk a lot about The Night Before and the impact Hunger Games might have in it. And really, and depending on the impact Hunger Games makes, going to depend on what happens with The Night Before. And we all know Hunger Games is going to make a tremendous amount of money, but the kind of impact it has beyond, like how far does it go? Like, how much does it go? This is the last film of this franchise. It's going to be a big movie. Not as big as Star Wars, no, but it's going to be a big movie. How much it makes, is going to really, in my mind, determine how much The Night Before does, at least in its first weekend. So we'll see what happens. It should definitely be, next week will be a much more interesting box office weekend. This week is kind of like just an extension of last week, with only a few new releases, all on the smaller scale, not expected to do much. It's just about the 2 big movies from last week continuing their run at the top, basically. So next week we'll look back at this coming weekend, and let's look ahead to what is a big weekend with Hunger Games and The Night Before being released. So, all right. So I told you it's going to be a quick box office beat, and it was. So there you go. That's our box office discussion for the week. For better or worse. Again, not very much to go on. Just not much to talk about. All right. So Next up, I'm going to do the TV highlights first because entertainment news, a lot of it is going to be based on questions and stuff and topics and such that you all sent in to me. So I want to leave that for last. I think that's a good way to end the show. So next up, we're going to talk about some of the highlights from TV this week. And I had to make sure that wasn't a text from my esteemed co-host, although it was. I had to make sure it wasn't something him telling me that he's going to be on the show. All right. So TV highlights. So usually I throw the mic and let him get his in first, but since he's not on tonight, it's going to be just me doing that. Gosh, I watched a lot of TV this week, and again, I try not to spoil too much. I know it sounds pretty generic when I do this, but I just don't want to spoil too much in case people haven't gotten it, because nowadays people don't watch things very quickly. A lot of people binge watch and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, what am I watching TV this week? Well, a couple of things I'd like to highlight. Blind Spot, which I didn't talk about last week. Blind Spot, I feel like has turned the major corner, and if you see some of the highlights of what's coming up, or some of the promos for what's coming up, you see that it's really starting to catch its groove a little bit. It's got renewed. So you know what? It's. I like the fact that the show, because I thought the show was trying a little too hard early on to be like this spy thrillers version of the Blacklist. Not, you know what I mean? Instead of like being all governmental and stuff, it's a little bit more spy-like, a little bit more, and then the mystery of like the tattoo. And I mean, look, I think it was trying a little too hard to be a counterpart to the Blacklist. And now, while there's still those vibes there in spots, at the same time, I think it's starting to find its own identity. And as the mystery continues to unravel, and now some of the characters are starting to get a little more interesting and stand on their own, outside of Jamie Alexander's character, Jane Doe character, I feel like we're starting to hit a stride here. And I think this might be one of those shows that the longer it stays on, the more of a chance it gets, the better it will get. And that's a very, very good thing. That's a very, very good thing. So I really like where they've taken it. And this week's episode was very, very good, I thought. And I look forward to what they're going to be bringing in the coming week. I checked out Gotham again this week. That's all I can say about that. I don't even know. I don't feel like we needed a whole episode focused on the Tompkins, Barbara Gordon love triangle. I wasn't even sure that was a love triangle. How was that even a love triangle? They never fought over him. It's just a fatal attraction kind of thing with Barbara. That's not a love triangle. That's just a one-sided obsession. I know they're playing it like, and I know they had Ben McKenzie kind of play it at the end as Gordon kind of subtly hinting that he still got feelings for her. I don't know if he has feelings for her as much as he feels guilty that he's got has played a part in why she's become who she is. That's not feelings. That's just, okay, that's feelings, but it's a different. It's not like he's still in love with her. It's guilt. That's all it is. It's guilt. All right. I don't know. I think that devoting that much of an episode to that was just ridiculous. Although Aaron Richards has done a phenomenal job as a Psycho as Barbara. So, hopefully, I'm glad. I know I'm in the minority on this. I hate that I'm going to issue a spoiler here. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, I apologize. You might, turn away right now. You can do that. I know a lot of people hated the fact that they didn't kill her off. Like, they thought that whole episode should have been ended with her getting killed off, because otherwise, why did we bother? But I do like the fact they didn't kill her, because I do think, look, she's never going to be the Barbara from the comics. She's never going to be Jim's wife. Anybody that still thinks that they're going with a different canon, I think they need to go with a different canon for their own longevity. If they're going to stick to Batman canon, then they couldn't do this show the way they wanted to do it. They got to go a different way about it. And, killing Maroni in the finale, turning Barbara into this nutcase, to me, it's good because it adds unpredictability to the show. You know, we all, I mean, you need that. You can't just keep going, well, you know, this person can't die because in the comics, they're still around. When Batman, you can't think like that. There's no drama in the show. There's no drama in the show. You need unpredictability, and they've created that to an extent. So that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. And I applaud them for that. And I think that, look, if doing what you did to Barbara, I think it would have been to have her get killed off. When and honestly, I don't think they've done enough with her in this current incarnation. She went crazy in the finale last year. Got sent away to Arkham. We saw her bits and pieces throughout the season, a couple times with Jerome and that, and then she got her big episode this week, and then that's it. There's more you can do with her. There's places you can take her. That doesn't mean you make her into Harley Quinn or anything, but you can take her different places and make her, you know, something sustainable for a while, because you need other villains besides the ones that we know about. So why not keep using her? So I'm glad they kept her around. And there's a lot of things that Gotham is doing right. The stuff with Penguin, it's great. I love what they've done with Galavan, you know, and Tabitha, you know, Bruce Gordon, Lucius, and that's been great. You know, the negatives to me on the show. Enigma, you know, they rushed it, but I can deal with that. The things I do not like on the show is look, I think Gordon is just a bore. I like Ben McKenzie, okay? He started off great on the show, but ever since they paired him up with Tompkins halfway through last season, it's been awful. Every scene with him feels awkward. It feels like he's trying too hard. I don't know what it is, but I want to see Jim Gordon. I don't want to see, you know, a forced attempt at Jim Gordon. You know, he to me, the first half of last season, he was Jim Gordon. True and true. This year, very hit and miss with that. I love Tompkins. I think she's a great character. I just don't think her and Jim work together. Maybe it's a real life relationship between the actors. I don't know. I don't like them together. I think they hurt each other's characters. I just do. I think that's a weak point. I think they've wasted Donna Logue. He's a great actor. Bullock was a shining light last season. They need to do more with him. Definitely need to do more with him. And Michael Chikris has been a great addition. A great addition to the show. And I wish they do more with the whole task force angle than they are. But I mean, I think Gotham is in a better place this year. I think now, granted, the first half of last season wasn't bad. It went off the rails the second half of the season. So I think a lot of people, including myself, are afraid of where it might go in the second half of this season. But so far, I think there's been a lot of improvement off of the last half of last season. So I'll take it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., brilliant television this week. If you haven't seen that episode, great performances from Blair Underwood, Ming-Na Wen, everybody in the cast, really, but those two are the highlights. And a big surprise at the end, which I will not spoil. And of course, how can I forget Ian DeCostrecker, Elizabeth Henstridge, both of whom have, in my opinion, been the MVPs of this season so far. Just some great scenes and great movement with Fitzsimmons, and apparently there's going to be even more coming forward. So a great episode for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week. A great episode of Flash with the Zoom stuff. Just amazing. I thought Flash absolutely knocked it out of the park this week. And I'm glad that the ratings backed up. It's a phenomenal episode. I don't want to support any part of that. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. South Park with an episode last night that I thought was unnecessarily. The ninja plot was funny in a way of kids being kids. I wish they hadn't gone back to the ISIS stuff. That to me is just horrible. Okay, I didn't like when they did it earlier this season. I wish they hadn't done it now. I just didn't like it. I thought the ninja angle was fun, okay, but I wasn't a fan of that. The stuff with Bar Brady was absolutely heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And then, of course, the ending, which was a big twist. And I've been waiting to see when we're going to start the process of breaking down what happened to South Park. you know, the whole like gentrification and PC movement, and it finally started at the end of the episode with that secret, the mystery guy in the suit telling Bar Brady that somebody's behind the changes to South Park, and then showing them the picture of PC principal Leslie, and that's a spoiler, I know, but just a great twist, and I can't wait. Now I'm really interested in seeing where they take this. I love the new continuity, and the year-long story arcs are really good. What else was there? What else did I check out this week? Didn't watch the Muppets. Didn't watch I didn't watch Limitless yet, so I can't give you an opinion. Blacklist. I did not watch last week or this week, so that's pretty much my highlight. That's all I've really gotten to, outside of sports, obviously. So I would definitely, my recommendations this week: check out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., check out Blind Spot, and check out Flash. Those 3 shows were just absolutely fantastic this week. Those would be my recommendations. Those are my highlights in TV for this week. My TV report card, TV buzz for this week. So make sure you check those shows out if you're looking for things to watch, or, you know, if you have a bunch of things on your DVR and those shows are among them, those would be the first shows I would check out for sure. All right. So with that being said, we'll move on now. And like I said, we're going to do some entertainment news discussion here tonight. And you know, normally I would, you know, I would seek out some stories on my own, and then also mix them with stories that you all sent in that you want us to talk about. Well, this week I'm pulling stuff completely from the email box of stuff that you want us to talk about. You know, topics that you want to see us discuss, you know, all that good stuff. So that's what we're going to do. Because you know, oftentimes I mix it up between my, you know, what I pick out to talk about, what I think is worth talking about, and what you all do. And sometimes I get more caught up in the stuff that I picked and what you all do. So let's give it all up to you all, the fans, and talk about the things that you think are worth talking about from World of Entertainment this week. Let's see. All right. A couple of these, and you need to keep this in mind. A couple of these, a couple of these are not necessarily big news stories, but they bring about topics that people are really interested in discussing. So I guess I should say this ain't really so much just straight up entertainment news discussion. It's more topics from entertainment that people want discussed, or people are interested in, that stem from entertainment news. Okay, some of these are anyway. All right, I hope that makes sense. Here's a question. There's been a lot. There seems to be a lot more information about the new Star Wars movie coming out in recent weeks. Of course, all along, people have been complaining about the fact that there hasn't been very much out there in terms of content in the trailers, or spoilers, or any kind of promotion whatsoever. Basically, the film has kept a lot of things close to the vest all along, until recently, when it seemed like the floodgates have opened, and now you're seeing stuff left and right. What is your opinion on the Star Wars marketing campaign? Do you think it's been too little? Do you now think it's too much? What do you think their strategy has been? And do you think it's helped or hurt the film's chances at breaking box office records? All right. So there's a lot there. All right. Obviously, that's been, I think, as far as entertainment news, every day you probably go to an entertainment site, you see maybe 2 or 3 different Star Wars pieces, either interviews with actors, or, you know, TV promos, or, you know, some kind of behind-the-scenes featurette, or, you know, stuff like that. There's been something every day. It reminds you a lot of what you see from Marvel movies and Spider-Man movies and stuff like that, like what you get like before a movie comes out. So it's fairly common. But if you really look at these promotional pieces, they don't really say a whole lot. I mean, I've seen people go crazy like, oh, because we saw this, that must mean this. You know, you're making assumptions, and you know what? Maybe some of the assumptions will end up being right, but um, you know, that's pure luck. That's pure luck. I don't think the film has tilted their hand on anything. I mean, yeah, in the trailer, if you stop it at certain points, you might see something that might hint at something. But I mean, come on, you could. That's going to happen. I mean, you can't keep everything out of trailers. People need to have something. I personally think that they've been incredibly smart because here's the thing: they know people are going to come out to see this movie. They don't need to show a whole lot. All right. They don't need to show a whole lot. The only thing they needed to do was in the last trailer, they need to show you a little bit about the story. And I think they did that in a lot of ways. Like, I think the whole idea that they got across in the last trailer was that this is a coming of age story for 3 new characters, which is what the original Star Wars was all about. You know, coming into their own, these 3 characters, growth and development of this new generation of resistance against the, what, you know, the new empire, the First Order, so to speak. So I really, 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 really like the way they promoted this. I think, you know, I know there's a lot of people frustrated because in this day and age, everything gets, you know, there's trailer after trailer, there's teaser trailers for trailers. I mean, I like the way they handle it. I think Abrams has played it smart. Abrams is very smart about this kind of stuff. In all his movies, he tries to keep things a secret. I mean, look, and right now you're getting a lot of stuff. That's true, but none of it's really tilting too much of the movie. You know, it's just behind the scenes stuff, giving you a little bit of background on some characters, and which is going to be helpful. I mean, I think they've done a brilliant job. I honestly believe they've done a brilliant job. And I think the strategy is just pure and simple. Look, give them enough to whet their appetite. Give them enough to whet their appetite. You know, give those that aren't Star Wars fans or are just, you know, movie fans that may or may not come out, give them enough to want them to come to the theater, to join in with the Star Wars fans. And I think they've done that. I think they're going to have, it's going to be very successful. I think it's going to break box office. I've said this for 2 months now. I think it's going to be a historic movie. It's going to break box office records, and it's going to be in the top 3 all time, in my opinion, worldwide grosses at the very least. I really, truly believe that. If the film is good, if the film is better than even we all expect it to be, and I think it's going to be brilliant. I think it's going to be a really good film. But if it's even better than expectations, then it could even do better than beyond any of our expectations are. So we'll see what happens. But I don't find any fault with the way they've handled their promotions. I think they've done a fantastic job. Okay. Let's see. What else? What else is in the box this week? This week it was announced that the 50 Shades of Grey sequels will be shooting back to back. Of course, this is not fairly unusual, as we've seen this done quite a few times before. The Hobbit movies, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Avatar movies are being shot back to back. Do you think that this is something that more and more franchises are going to do? Because it only seems to be unique to franchises that maybe feel like they might lose their actors if they don't do this at a certain time, or to franchises that are trying to prevent spoilers. Okay, all right. I don't think it is. First of all, I don't know where people would get the notion that they do this to avoid spoilers, because it doesn't really change anything. All right, it doesn't matter when you film your movie. If you have a leak, you have a leak. There's going to be spoilers. It's just the bottom line. However, here's what it does do. It does help from a budgeting standpoint in some regards. Okay, but also I do think it is a way. It helps with continuity too. I do think it is a way to kind of like make sure you get these movies done with the right actors in the row. If you have an actor that's a very hot and in demand actor, it might be the best way to make sure they can do the movie, or do the movies, I should say. Like, let's say you cast. Let's just be hypothetical here. Let's say you have a franchise. You start a new franchise, and it does the first movie does incredibly well. You immediately start sitting down to write the sequel and end up saying, you know what, I've wrote 2 movies. I think we can make at least 2 sequels out of this. All right, so you pitch it to your cast. So let's say your cast includes, let's say Chris Pratt. Let's say Chris Pratt is your headlining actor. Okay. Well, Chris Pratt has a busy schedule right now. He has the Jurassic World movies. He's got the Guardians movies. Lego movies. Got a lot of things going on. So you got to work around the schedule. Let's say he tells you, you know what, I can do the second one, but boy, my schedule after next year, I'm booked up for a couple years. I don't have any availability to do that third one. So you know what you do? Say, all right, well, what if we film the second and third back to back? Can we get that in? And if you realize you can get that in, then you film those movies back to back because you want to make sure that you have your lead actor in that as that character. So that's what I'm saying. I think that is the biggest benefit, other than probably budgetary, to doing shooting sequels back to back, is the fact that if you have a couple actors or an actor or actors that are very much in demand, have very busy schedules for years on end, it allows you the chance to do the films you want, and make sure you have the actors you want in those roles. So to that end, I think it's smart, and look, it's something that I would agree. It's shocking that more franchises don't do it, because you hear all the time that, oh, I don't understand why it took so long to make a sequel to that movie, or I don't understand why why we couldn't get that actor back in the role or whatever. I am surprised. I mean, look, if you try to have a successful franchise, you need momentum. You can't wait too long to make sequels. You can't. And the quicker you get them done, the quicker you can get your release dates, and the quicker you can, be successful. And again, if it's about keeping the actors you want in the roles and the characters, then get it done. Do it. Try to figure it out. I do agree. It's shocking that more franchises haven't done this. I mean, Avatar's done it. Pirates movies have done it. Marvel's going to do it with the Infinity War movies, Avengers Infinity War movies. 50 Shades of Grey's now doing it. Hunger Games did it. I mean, it's smart. I think it's smart. I think Star Wars is kind of doing it. The Hobbit movies, they're Lord. I mean, it's smart. I think. Unless you got all those actors contracted for 7 years, which is unheard of outside the Harry Potter movies. I mean, yeah, the Marvel movies have done that, but it's a little different. I mean, I think it's smart. I agree. I think it's pretty smart. Okay. Let's see here. It's been announced that the X-Men Apocalypse trailer will more than likely be screened before Star Wars: The Force Awakens in December. However, nothing's been said about the Captain America Civil War movie, even though it's expected to be screened or released sometime in the next 2 months. Both these films are coming out in May of next year, and yet we haven't even seen so much as a teaser. Yet most of the films are supposed to be done and have screen footage at Comic-Cons. What do you think is the reason for the holdup with both these films and their trailers? And do you think this will hurt them in the end? No, it's not going to hurt them at all. First of all, in regards to X-Men, there's been a lot of criticism of the look of Apocalypse. And a lot of people are holding out hope that they're going to fix that. I don't think they are. I think that's the way he looks, and that's just the way it is. But so I think some people haven't really minded the fact that movie hasn't released a trailer yet. Civil War, a lot of people are upset about Captain America Civil War and not releasing a trailer. And I can kind of get that. I really thought that you'd get some kind of teaser with Ant-Man in July. Just a small one, like, like with what you've seen before. And I know that would have been almost a year in advance, but, they had some stuff. They could have done like a minute and a half kind of piece. I know they did the Easter eggs after the credits scene that kind of set everything up, but I was really thinking that they do like a small like teaser or something. My take on it is I've always expected all along X-Men Apocalypse and Captain America Civil War's trailers to be with Star Wars. All along. If not Star Wars, one of them with Hunger Games, one of them with Star Wars. I probably was thinking more along the lines of X-Men with Hunger Games and Captain America with Star Wars because of the Disney connection. But, either way, it's going to help both movies. And look, even if one of them was to debut with Hunger Games, it's more than likely that the one that debuts with Hunger Games will also, again, air a screen with Star Wars too. So, yeah, I mean, look, the bottom line is they both have to be out there in the next 2 months. Otherwise, what are you waiting for? I mean, I understand why Star Wars waited, but these two movies do not need to be waiting. And I don't think it's going to hurt them in the end. I mean, if they wait much longer, it might, but at this particular juncture, I don't think it'll hurt them. Well, Captain America Civil War is anticipated no matter what. X-Men needs momentum. I mean, granted, the last couple movies have been good, but it does need momentum. So it needs the trailer to kind of build that for it. So, okay, let's see what else. Suicide Squad producer Charles Roven has Sorry, I was just taking a look, trying to get back in the email here. Has said that hang on. Okay. All right. It was Suicide Squad producer Charles Roven did an interview with Collider about the Suicide Squad film, and among the topics that was discussed was the rating of the film. He has said that the rating of the film will be a hard PG-13 because they want to remain consistent with the rest of the DC universe. Obviously, a lot last year was made about Deadpool, which was originally supposed to be a rated PG-13 movie, and was eventually changed to R-rated. Do you think that a similar occurrence will happen with Suicide Squad? And if it doesn't happen, why won't DC commit to doing something a little different and make this movie the way many of us would want it to be made, which means an R-rated cut? I think the issue here is this. Deadpool, all right, even though Deadpool is going to be part of a universe with Fox with the X-Men and everything, they're not probably, the Deadpool's probably going to be a franchise where they don't do a whole lot of important stuff, okay, that connects to the rest of their X-Men, Fantastic Four, whatever universe. Whereas with Suicide Squad, it's pretty clear from what we know that there's a lot of plot elements in Suicide Squad. They're going to play into the DC movie universe at large. There's a lot that gets set up by Batman versus Superman, and there's a lot of stuff in there that connects to some of the other movies. And because of that, I think that's why they don't want rated PG-13, because then there's a bunch that you're leaving out a lot of audience that can't see that movie. And then they're going to go on to the next DC film, and until they can see that on their own at home, they're going to be missing some key elements. And they also probably think it's going to hold down the growth, which it would. A lot of people on their own now can know what Suicide Squad is, Comic book fans do, but the mainstream aren't. So I think they want the best chance to make this movie a hit. Deadpool is a little bit more known. He's been around for a long time, and I think they feel like they're not. I don't even think the expectations for Deadpool are going to be as high as Suicide Squad as far as gross goes. I think they'll be happy with a small gross that makes them a decent profit. Whereas Suicide Squad's clearly going to go for a lot bigger. So I don't know. I personally would love to see it R-rated. I think if you're ever in a controversial position like this, I think one of the best things you can do is do an R-rated cut and a PG-13 cut. Please, both sides of the coin. Think about this. Release one showing that's PG-13, rated PG-13, and one showing that's R-rated, and then produce 2 DVDs like that. I mean, what's the problem with that? And also, I want to throw this out there too. The Dark Knight was a hard PG-13, and that movie was pretty brutal. I mean, may Heath Ledger rest in peace. He did a great job in that movie, and some of the sequences in that movie were very brutal, very violent. So, I mean, you can get away with a lot with a hard PG-13. So it's not like this movie's going to be completely, innocent and childlike or something. You know what I mean? It's not. All right. Let's see here. Okay, that one we covered. That one we covered. All right, we're going to do one more, and we're going to end with a fun one because I don't see anything else in here that I think is... A lot of it's the stuff that we've already covered. We actually covered in the box office beat tonight, and I don't want to go back into it again. Jennifer Lawrence at the Hunger Games premiere once again suffered a fall on the red carpet. She's made a history of falling at particular social events, including tripping a little as she went up to claim her Oscar. This is a fun question. Do you think, is there a part of you that thinks that Jennifer does this for attention? It seems a little too coincidental that it seems to keep happening. Could anybody truly be that much of a klutz? Oh, goodness. Wow. That might be one of the most fun questions I've ever gotten on the show. We usually get these like really like theorizing, hypothetical kind of questions. This is a fun question. Maybe it's a new fan of the show because that seems like a different kind of question than what we usually get. It is kind of funny that Jennifer keeps having these issues with falling, and at the most inopportune times when all the attention's on her. It's I don't think she does that on purpose. Look, she's not the. She seems a little too down to earth and a little too. I mean, I know there's some people who don't like sometimes the way she handles herself in interviews and stuff. They think that she's, sometimes she's obnoxious and stuff like that. I don't see that, but I know some people have said that. I don't think that about her. And maybe if you believe that, you might think she does these kind of things on purpose just to grab some attention and some headlines. And I really don't think that's the case, though. For me, she doesn't seem like. I don't doubt that she enjoys the attention, but I don't think she craves it either. I think it's like, okay, your eyes are on me. All right, that's fine. I'm cool with that. And then she'll give you, she'll be sarcastic sometimes. Nah, hardy har har, and that's the way it is. She does, but she doesn't like. I don't think she deliberately tries to bring too much attention to herself. Like, I don't see her as somebody that just tries to stir the pot for headlines. I don't see her as that. So I don't think she does it on purpose. I do think it's a pretty funny coincidence that it keeps happening. And thank God she hasn't gotten hurt yet. I mean, it's a pretty sad thing to for her to have to keep going through it, because obviously it's embarrassing, but God bless her. She's handled it to the best of her ability and had a great attitude about it. And it is what it is. It is what it is. But I don't, if it, I don't think she does it on purpose. I don't think she's attention seeking. I look, she's probably the number one actress in Hollywood right now in terms of box office gross, and actors. We know there's Chris Pratt and The Rock for female actresses. She's tops. I mean, she's draws. She's a big name. So I don't think that she needs to do stuff like that to stir the pot. Okay, I don't think she does. She gets enough attention as it is. So, all right. Like I said, there is some more stuff here we could do, but again, a lot of it I think we addressed early on in the box office beat, and some of it is stuff that I'd like to do when we have a co-host here, so we can have different views on it, and because they're topics that probably lend themselves to more debate than some of the stuff that we already did tonight. So we're gonna stop right there. Again, I said it's gonna be a short show. I thought it'd be about an hour, and that's exactly what it's gonna be. So, and in light of the fact I did a show earlier today, and some of you out there that weren't able to check out that show, the Football Blitz, so maybe with us finishing up early tonight, you can check that out, because I know there's a bunch of you that usually try to check it out live that were not able to today for obvious reasons, because it was such a short notice on doing the show. So yeah, so that's all we're gonna do tonight. We covered everything we had to cover. We did some entertainment news kind of stuff. We did some discussion. We did some TV highlights. We did box office beats. So yeah, so I'm pretty satisfied with it. It's not very often we do a short show like this anyway. So yeah, so that's it for tonight. But as always, the show might be over. Does not mean you have to stop interacting and contributing to the show or interacting with us. You can continue to send in feedback, questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, topic ideas, breaking news items related to sports, entertainment, or wrestling that you want us to cover, comments, reactions, questions about anything we talked about on the show, anything we did on the show, any comments, reactions to things that we said on the show, any of those things. You can Facebook, tweet us, or email us. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And please remember to use the hashtags, hashtag itspotlight411 or hashtag ITS5. That one, of course, to represent our 5th anniversary on the air as a podcast. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook. And then once you find our fan page, like our page. Okay. As I mentioned on the afternoon show today, apologies again for those our fans out there that have been waiting for us to have our Podbean and iTunes set up. That is not done yet. I've uploaded everything. I thought these issues, as I mentioned on Tuesday, we have some issues with the site. I thought the issues would be rectified. I was told they'd be rectified a couple days ago. They have not been rectified yet. I am still waiting for a direct answer on when. So I apologize, but both those, because until I get Podbean set up and done, there's no iTunes, at least new uploads to iTunes. So bear with us on that. I know there's a lot of you that prefer to check us out in audio form, and I'm sorry about that. So because I know that that's a comfort to some of you. You prefer to listen to us. Hopefully by next week we'll have it up and running. I would think we would, but just bear with us. I do appreciate your patience and understanding on that. But for right now, if you need to catch up on any of our shows, any of them from this week or the last couple of weeks, any of our last 12 shows, I should say, you can check them out here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube, where all the episodes are stored right after the live broadcast and live streaming. So if you want to catch up on any of those episodes or rewatch them, you can do that. For those of you that missed the Football Blitz show earlier today, you can check that out on YouTube and Google Hangouts. Again, it does not have a date on it, but it's right after the last episode we did on Tuesday, episode 10. So it'll be episode 11. Of course, once this episode is posted, you have a better idea that it's kind of sandwiched in between episode 12 and 11. So, I mean, episode 12 and 10. So you have an idea of how it fits. But if you haven't checked out that episode of the Football Blitz yet, the latest episode of the Football Blitz, you can check out. You can check that out here on YouTube and Google Hangouts, and of course any of our episodes from the last couple of weeks. All 12 of the episodes since we moved here to Google Hangouts and on YouTube, you can check out and rewatch and catch up on if you need to here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Google Hangouts and YouTube, and then once you find us, you'll have access to our channel and see all the episodes. All the episodes that we've had over the last couple of weeks, and you can catch up on them. If you're a new fan of the show and you'd like to check out episodes from before we moved here to Google Hangouts and YouTube, you can check out the first 31 episodes we've ever had on blogtalkradio.com. You can check out all the episodes between our days on Blog Talk Radio and our days here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube on TalkShoe.com and also on Libsyn.com and on iTunes. So Blog Talk Radio, TalkShoe, Libsyn, iTunes. Check out all 4 of those sites. And on all 4 of those sites, you will want to search for us under our old name, In the Spotlight with Brian Gardner. And then once you find our old show page on all those sites, you'll have access to all the episodes since all our episodes from our days before we started streaming and airing here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. So if you're interested in checking those out, go ahead and check those out on those sites. It might help some of you new fans get a sense of who we are and what we've done over the years. So if you're interested in doing that, go right ahead and do that. Otherwise, for all the episodes from the last couple of weeks since we moved here to Google Hangouts and YouTube, you can check us out here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube just by searching for In the Spotlight 411. You can catch up on the last few weeks of episodes right on here. And again, for those that did not check out the Football Blitz show, again, that is posted, and it's the episode right after episode 10. It'll be the episode listed below this one once this one is uploaded. So if you're looking for a football episode, we've already done it, and it's already posted. So check it out here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. This is our last show of the week, our third and final show of the week. Next week, on Tuesday, we'll be broadcasting live here on TalkShoe at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It will be November the 17th. It'll be a sports entertainment combo. We will cover any headlines from sports outside of the NFL and college football. Obviously, college basketball. We'll be covering the first weekend of college basketball. Any NBA or MLB news that we have to get to, we will talk about. And then, of course, entertainment. We'll do our box office beat, TV highlights of the week. And any entertainment news that we have to talk about, we will do that. So Tuesday, a sports entertainment combo. And then next Thursday, we will be previewing WWE's Survivor Series pay-per-view. That is next Thursday, November 19th, broadcasting live here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I said TalkShoe earlier for some reason. We don't do that anymore. I don't know why I would say that. That show will be an all-wrestling show. Again, previewing WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view. Any of you that want to participate by sending questions or comments in about anything to do with wrestling, not just WWE, you can do that either before the show or during the show via email, Facebook, and Twitter. As we always do with wrestling preview shows, we'll go down the card, preview the entire card, make predictions, talk about all the storylines, and then, of course, address questions and comments from the listeners related to wrestling. So that show will be next Thursday. And, of course, we'll also have our Football Blitz show at some point next week as well. So, so 3 shows next week. Tuesday, sports entertainment combo. Thursday, an all wrestling show previewing WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view. And, of course, our Football Blitz show, which I'll give you more information on when that will be on Tuesday's show. So that's it for this week. I hope you all have a great weekend. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th, so please stay safe. I hope you all have a good Friday the 13th, a great weekend, and a great start to your week next week. We will see you back here for our next show this coming Tuesday night, November the 17th, broadcasting and streaming live here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a good night and a good weekend, everyone.